بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين.
بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما. أما بعد، قال الشيخ الإمام سليمان بن عبد الله رحمه الله تعالى: لما كان الشرك أعظم ذنب عصي الله به، ولهذا رتب عليه من عقوبات الدنيا والآخرة ما لم يرتبه على ذنب سواه من إباحة دماء أهله وأموالهم وسبي نسائهم وأولادهم وعدم مغفرته من بين الذنوب إلا بالتوبة منه. نبه المصنف رحمه الله بهذه الترجمة على أنه ينبغي للمؤمن أن يخاف منه ويحذره ويعرف أسبابه ومبادئه وأنواعه لئلا يقع فيه. Sulaiman ibn Abdullah, who was one of the earliest and greatest commentators on the book Kitab al-Tawheed of Imam Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, may Allah have mercy upon his soul, he says in the chapter Bab al-Khawfi min al-Shirk, being afraid of Shirk, being fearful of Shirk. How much time do we have?
They close at 10, so we should be there 9:30.
طيب. It says here, لما كان الشرك أعظم ذنب عصي الله به. He says, since Shirk is the greatest act of disobedience. Shirk is the greatest sin, the greatest means of someone disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Since that's the case, point one, branching off from point one, Khalid, branching off from that, ولهذا رتب عليه من عقوبات الدنيا والآخرة ما لم يرتبه على ذنب سواه. Since Shirk is the greatest sin that Allah has ever been disobeyed with, the greatest act of disobedience, and the way that we understand this is that there are things, consequences of Shirk like no other sin. There are consequences, punishments, rulings of Shirk like no other, such as making and declaring those who fall into it and commit it, considering their blood to be lawful. Drink khamr, steal, make zina, this sin, that sin, saying that the blood is lawful, the wealth is lawful, their women are to be taken as concubines in warfare, their children, وَعَدَمْ مَغْفِرَتِهِ, and that is the only sin that is never ever forgiven. No other sin is of this status. There are some sins in which your blood becomes lawful, such as murder in Islam, such as thievery, stealing a specific amount in a specific way, the rulings of stealing, sadiqah. The hand is cut off, your blood is going to pour forth, unless it's totally, cauterized, cut off by something really, really, really hot, really, really fast. Everybody understand this? But the traditional way of taking someone's hand off is going to be abundance of what? Blood. The dam is permissible. Everybody understand this? Or according to those ulama who hold the view that the man who drinks and is caught is flogged once, he's flogged another time, he's flogged 3 times, the 3rd time he's to be put to death, executed, capital punishment. What's important is, even though these sins in the Islamic criminal law or the penal code, sometimes some people's blood is lawful and they're still Muslims, but it's not the case in hereafter. Still forgiveness. Shirk makes the blood lawful in the dunya, and in hereafter, everyone understand this? Because somebody can come and say, well, there are other things which blood of a Muslim becomes lawful, but there are other points that Shirk still what? Has above them. He says there are rulings that pertain to Shirk and those who perform it like no other sin, such as money being lawful, blood being lawful, children, women being taken as captives of warfare. Allah not forgiving it unless a person makes tawbah. If you make tawbah in the dunya from Shirk, Allah will forgive you if your tawbah is correct. In the dunya. As far as after death, no, there's no forgiveness. He says, since this is the case, since shirk is so dangerous, and these are some of the reasons why it's so dangerous. Since this is the case, he says, Nabbah al-Musannif. The author, Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, rahimahullah, he made tanbih. He made this a specific chapter in his book to get your attention, to get your focus, to open up your eyes and to realize the danger of shirk. Because shirk is so dangerous. Why is shirk so dangerous? Because Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab said so. Because I said so. Because of the points that we just what? Mentioned. Like no other sin. Everybody understand this? Disrespecting your mother is a major sin. Disrespecting your father is a major sin. But it's not like A, B, C, D, your blood. It's difference. Shirk is the only sin like that. He says here, this is the reason why the author gave tanbih. He pointed, he brought your attention and he made this a specific chapter in his book. Proving, he says, على أنه ينبغي للمؤمن أن يخاف منه. And the purpose of this chapter heading is to show that the believer is to be afraid of it. The believer is to be afraid of falling into shirk. Number one. وَيَحْذَرَهُ. And to be careful with regards to shirk. Fearing something is in your heart. Then the fruit of that fear comes in what? It was translated into what? Precaution. I'm afraid of getting a flat tire and being stranded on the side of the road. So therefore, the fruit of that is my what? Precautious driving. The fear is the emotion, the mental state. Everybody understand this? Afraid of shirk in my heart, in my mind. And the physical fruit of that fear is me having hadar, being careful. Everybody understand this? Being precautious. Everybody clear on this? Mentally and also physically. And anything that includes being with the people of shirk, loving the people of shirk, benefiting from the people of shirk, imitating the people of shirk, whatever that involves, I'm afraid of getting the sickness that you have. So I don't shake your hand. I'm not going to eat after you. I don't drink after you. Everybody understand this? I don't want to sit in your company because you're clearly sick. The fear of me getting the sickness is where? In my mind. And the hadar, the precaution of me getting this sickness is where? The deeds. By me not shaking your hand. By me not drinking after you. By me not buying that. Everybody understand this? And the same applies to shirk. If you're afraid of shirk and you're precautious and you're wary, then it necessitates certain things that you should, or certain things that you have to do, and certain things that you cannot do. Regardless whether it is living with the kuffar, working with, whatever it is. Everybody understand this? It's a very important concept here. A person could say, not saying it is haram, but a person can say, I don't want to have a wife that's a Christian or a Jew. I don't want to have the ability of loving someone that's not Muslim. I may get soft. I may become lenient. I may become apologetic and sympathetic. My children. So even though it's permissible, I don't want to have nothing to do with someone in my house I eat with, I drink with, I walk, I talk with, I sleep with, that isn't a Muslim. Everybody understand this? The concept? Yahdar. He says to be cautious. He then says, وَيَعْرِفَ أَسْبَابَهُ. And to know the reasons behind shirk. Very important. Why do people fall into shirk? How does someone fall into shirk? How does a person become a mushrik? Does it just fall out the sky, or is there a reason behind it? One's culture. Blind following one's forefathers. Exalting one's ancestors. Ignorance is a cause behind what? Shirk. Extremism is a cause behind shirk. Taking a religious figure and anointing him or putting him on a pedestal with a status is a reason behind what? Shirk. Being at the graves, visiting the graves often, excessively, doing acts of ibadah for Allah at the graveyards is a means of shirk. Everybody understand this? To slaughter a cow for the sake of Allah. Bismillah, Allah Akbar, you slaughter the cow. I'm not slaughtering for this wali, this saint in the mausoleum or this tomb or this. No. I'm slaughtering the cow for who? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, alone without any partner. But I slaughter the cow in front of the grave of the righteous man. Is that shirk or bid'ah or what? What's the ruling on this? A waste? And only a waste?
That's, I would say shirk.
Shirk. What'd you say, Talib?
I would say it's neither.
The feast.
If there's a slaughterhouse,
Khalid, I didn't ask you about anything else. Actually, the ruling of it. Hold on. This is sad if we don't know this. Sheikh Amin.
I'll say the intention what you have.
Then once again, he's taking a cow and he's slaughtering the cow. Bismillah, Allahu Akbar. It's for Allah. But I slaughter the cow in front of the grave of this righteous scholar. Shirk or bid'ah? What'd you say, Abu Saeed? Why isn't it shirk? It's for Allah. He didn't make any partners with Allah. He didn't say this is in the name of this wali. I offer you this to the wali. It's a place, a dhabh, of slaughter that the Prophet never did. He never instructed. He never allowed. The graves are following things: visiting, burying, of course, and occasionally making salat al-janazah, as it's in the hadith, if it wasn't done already. That's it. It's nothing else in the graveyard. Nothing. Sujood, som, living, visit, not bad to visit, but just taking a tour. No. Making a movie, making a video, making a faida. La. No. That's not what the graves are for. So you take this cow, you slaughter it for Allah. It's bid'ah because the person believes, thinks, and feels that is more reward in front of the grave. It's more virtuous in front of the grave. I'm going to get closer to Allah by doing it in front of the grave. So it's not shirk. It will be shirk if he did what? Bismillah hadha wali, in the name of wali fulan. Now it's shirk akbar. It's kufr akbar. Everybody understand this? Even if he did it in the, there you go, Nafis, or the masjid. Everybody understand this? So it's a bid'ah because he's believing, he's practicing something that he has no text for, no daleel. And it's also bid'ah mufdiya ila shirk, which is a sabab, a reason, a door leading to shirk. But it's not yet. Everybody understand this? Asbab shirk. Everybody clear on this? It leads to it. Because one day you slaughter at the grave for Allah, and your son sees you doing this. Your son grows up, is in America now. You migrated from Guyana. You had a strong Islamic personality. Your son grows up, he's not as strong. America, college, non-Muslim girlfriend. He's still Muslim, but there's a non-Muslim girlfriend in college. Got a taste of the American life. Education, modern. He's more cultivated, more refined than you are, and further away from the deen. And he can remember from a young age that Abby would do what? Who was Abby slaughtering for? So he grows up, he's more ignorant, and next thing you know, he's slaughtering for the wali. Everybody understand this? And that's what? Shirk, and no longer bid'ah now. Everybody clear on this? Or even the person himself. The father, he keeps doing it, and shaitan whispers to him. Someone says, well, you know, you can get a super duper reward. Aywa. I said, there you go. I ain't talking. You can make two. Double, a daily double. You can make both. Do it for Allah and also give a little bit to the what? To the wali. It's not shirk. That's Wahhabism. It's Wahhabi Aqidah. But if he was far from the grave, he would have been what? I understand this? So, and this is just one example among many. Respecting a scholar and putting a scholar on such a high pedestal as if he isn't a human leads to you having what? Shirk. Being extreme with regards to the Prophet ﷺ is a means of what? Shirk. So he says that the mu'min, it's necessary for him to know the asbab of shirk. The things which what? Lead up to it. He then says, وَمَبَادِئَهُ, and the fundamental principles of shirk. The general concepts of shirk. From them is, don't think it's just all simple and sweet and easy. People only worship idols because of what? Because they actually believe that this piece of wood or stone, or as he said, manufacturing idols in Mecca, you think the people just worshiped it because it was oatmeal? You think they worshipped it? They were that stupid and dumb to think that the piece of wood was their ilah that they constructed and carved? No. If you think that's what shirk is, you don't understand shirk. The people only worship the idol as a what? A symbol. It's a symbol. A symbol. There is a spirit, a soul of an angel, of a demon, of an ancestor, something pure, something high, something supernatural that comes down into this wood, this idol. or it's a means of symbolicism. It symbolizes the spirit. It symbolizes the God. Everybody understand this? A corridor, a conduit of the spirit. Everybody understand this? And that's why you find some people, especially in the Far East, let's say Taiwan or parts of Japan, when they go to a shrine, they do what? They clap. What is the clapping doing? What's the purpose of the clap? It's summoning the spirit. Or they ring a bell. Or they light sandalwood incense, Sheikh. Has to be sandalwood. Everybody understand this? Not all people, but some people it has to be what? Sandalwood. Honestly, sandalwood. Everybody understand this? Incense. I'm not saying sandalwood incense is haram. Okay? But the point is that the spirit is what? Summoned. This is a meeting place. This is a representative of it. So you have to know the mabadi', the foundations of shirk. And that's one of the foundations of shirk. Another foundation of shirk is, don't think that all of the mushrikeen are just totally horrible people, that they don't have no type of spirituality with them. They look at the sun every single day. It rises. What happens when the sun rises? Everything is affected by the sun. The plants, the trees, the birds, the fish. The sun gives us light. It gives us warmth. It gives us heat. You see what I'm saying to you? It's good for the skin. Obviously, too much sun, different people, different types of skin. But the general concept of the sun is magnificent. It's amazing. Just look at it. The crops don't grow without the sun, so on and so forth. The sun is amazing. So therefore, the sun has to be a what? An ilah. It gives. It's bountiful. It's generous. We can't live without the sun. Everybody understand this? There's nothing without the what? Without the sun. So this is a mabda'. This is from the foundations of shirk. Is that these people, they look at things which are great, magnificent things, and take them as their ilah. Because of what they think, what they feel, because of the shaitan, because of the ignorance. Everybody understand this? And the sun in its greatness, there's no doubt that the sun is what? It's great. It's supposed to point you to the greatness of the one who made the sun. Wasjudu. Allah says, make sujood to the one who khalaqahunna in kuntum iyyahu ta'budun. If you wish to worship, then don't just worship the one who what? Who made it? Who made the sun? He's even greater. Everybody understand this? So if you go and try to talk to a mushrik, the sun, you can't worship the sun is no good, the sun can't help you, so on and so forth. Always, how's that going to work? It's not going to be as what? If at all. What do you mean the sun isn't great? What do you mean the sun isn't major? What do you mean? Cave. What are you talking about? My ancestors live here in this island for hundreds of years, and they've lived and thrived off the sun. And you telling me that it's not great? You don't understand the what? Concept of the shirk, the mabadi'. To protect yourself, your children, to give da'wah, and also to call people and invite people. Everybody understand what he's saying? He says the Muslim should know the mabadi' of shirk. Everybody got this? He then says wa anwa'ahu, and the types of shirk. The anwa' of shirk. Shirk akbar, shirk asghar. We have shirk khafi, hidden shirk, major shirk, minor shirk, shirk qawli, statement, action, etc. There are types of what? Shirk. Asghar is not akbar, akbar is not asghar. Shirk of statement is not always necessarily the shirk of etc. The types of shirk. Why? لِأَلَّا يَقَعَ فِيهِ. So he won't fall into it. So he won't what? Fall into it. What's the purpose of studying about shirk? Learning about shirk? Just for theory? Correct aqidah? Tawheed? This is not. No. The only purpose is what? Knowledge. Arm yourself. He then says, rahimahullah, ولهذا قال حذيفة كان الناس يسألون رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم عن الخير وكنت أسأله عن الشر مخافة أن أقع فيه رواه البخاري. He says, for this reason, Hudhayfa ibn al-Yaman, he said, the people used to ask the Messenger of Allah صلى الله عليه وسلم about the good, and I used to ask him about the bad, so I won't fall into it. I didn't just want to know the evil, who's a mushrik, who's a kafir, who's an innovator, who's a deviant, just to know. To fickle my fancy, as most people do today. What's your view on this person? If I tell you don't listen to him, you gonna stop listening to him? Everybody understand this? But honestly, earnestly asking for the purpose of what? Avoiding it. Everybody clear on this? He then says, وَذَلِكَ أَنَّ مَنْ لَمْ يَعْرِفْ إِلَّا الْخَيْرَ قَدْ يَأْتِيهِ الشَّرُّ وَهُوَ لَا يَعْرِفُ أَنَّهُ شَرٌّ فَإِمَّا أَنْ يَقْعَ فِيهِ وَإِمَّا أَنْ لَا يُنْكِرَهُ كَمَا يُنْكِرُهُ الَّذِي عَرَفَهُ. He says, listen to this deducement now. He says, and this is because a person who only knows good, he's only aware of positivity, he may not be able to recognize the evil when it comes to him. He may not be able to distinguish and to discern shar, vice, when it's in front of his face. Everybody understand this? He says, or he says here, either he won't know it and he'll fall into it, or he won't be able to truly hate it and criticize it and reject it as it's necessary. Everybody understand this? One or two things. One of the what? One or two things. And the sweeter of the two is what? Is bitter. The sweeter of the two is what? Bitter. Either you fall into it or you don't fall into it, but you don't speak out against it. And that's a very extremely important part of Aqeedah and Tawheed. And that is to make inkar of shirk and kufr. Whether it's with your hands, your mouth, at least with your heart. We do not condone this. It's not okay. It's not right. There is no other faith, no other religion, no other ancient religious practice that's acceptable. It's batil. There's no respect when it comes to that. Period. I'm sorry. I respect you as a human being, a creation of Allah. I cannot oppress you, take your wealth. I can't just beat you up and just do things to you like this. But if we sit down and we have a conversation and you tell me that you're following the religion of these ancestors in Africa or Asia or in Hawaii or in South America or Europe, okay? I can't respect that. Well, you got to respect my opinion. No, I don't. I don't have to respect your opinion. I can't physically do things to you that are unwarranted, Islamically or wherever you're living. I can't just throw you off a cliff because you're a mushrik in America. I can't do that. But I do not have to what? Abadan. No. I'll humbly say to you, I feel your religion makes no sense. I feel it's batil. And you need to be a Muslim. And there is no accepting other faiths and being tolerant of other faiths. With regards to statement and what? Action is a different story. We live in America. It's not an Islamic state. It's not a Muslim country. It's not Sharia here. You can't just blow somebody up and kill somebody and shoot somebody because they don't accept Islam. It does not work like that. That's batil. That's false. But in my heart, I believe homosexuality is an abomination. That's what I believe. If you ask me about it, I would say the same. I cannot go into a gay bar and kill homosexuals. Everybody understand this? I cannot go into a church and blow them up. I can't go walk down the street to the Sikh temple and shoot them. But with my heart, I what? Shoot them with my heart. It's batil, it's shirk, it's kufr, it's nonsense. Everybody understand this? And no one can oppress me for that. And if you do oppress me and persecute me for my beliefs, then it's time to go to a different country. Nobody in America can force you to believe something. Everybody understand this? And this is a thing that many people, they fall into and they mix the two up. When they start talking about, I mentioned the word tolerance. What does it mean to be tolerant? My aqeedah is that your deen is batil. Christianity is batil. Islam is the only haqq. Musa was a Muslim. Jesus was a Muslim. His immediate disciples were what? Muslimun. Period. But as a neighbor, hello, how you doing? Okay. They gave me your paper. It's your paper. If that's what you mean by tolerant, Islam clearly promotes and supports tolerance. If you see somebody breaking into your neighbor's house, you stop them, you call the police, whatever you can. You speak to them, they give you a gift, whatever the case may be. As a neighbor, a co-worker, you're a human being. I have to respect your property. Everybody understand this? Your wife comes out of your house. I don't follow your wife with my eyes and lust off of her and talk with her and mingle with her and find out when you're at work and when you're away and try to sleep with your wife. That's disrespectful. That's evil. And this woman, a Muslim or a mushrika, she's a mushrika. His honor, protecting his honor as my neighbor. If that's what you mean by tolerance, then yes, Islam promotes that type of tolerance without a doubt. You can't let somebody just come and just rape the man's wife and you sit there and don't do anything about it. It's not right as a neighbor. But that doesn't mean that I accept your what? And I acceptable. And it's okay. There is no two ways to God, subhanahu wa ta'ala. And how can something be the absolute truth and something else that's not included in that circle, how can it be okay? In other words, there's no yaqeen if you believe that another faith is what? Acceptable. Everybody clear this? So there are people today, they say, well, as long as you're spiritual, as long as you know there's a divine being, as long as you're a good person, so on and so on and so forth. That's good. That sounds great. Honestly, it sounds great. I can't judge other people's religions. Islam is not for everybody. What about the people in this country? That sounds great, but that is not the orthodox creed of Islam. That's not the what? It's not the orthodox creed of Islam. If you want to be this type of liberal person and everybody's deen is okay, I don't agree with Buddhism. I don't agree with Christianity. I have my own personal faith. They're acceptable. That's fine. But that isn't what? That's not Islam. And if you want to have that approach, then you don't need to be a Muslim. Everybody understand this? So the concept of making inkar of shirk, speaking against it, hating it with our hearts, with our tongues, to the best of our abilities, is something that has been abandoned a long time ago. Al-wala wal-bara, the aqeedah of loving and hating, the aqeedah of being loyal, having allegiance, association, and disassociating themselves from the people of shirk and kufr has been abandoned a very long time ago. And there are different reasons behind it being abandoned. Some reasons are political reasons, some social reasons, some because of the Christian missionaries. Everybody understand this? Or excessiveness with regards to bid'ah. The only wala wal bara is bid'ah. You're from Ahl bid'ah, there's no wala wal bara. There's bara, no wala, and that's it. Wala wal bara. لا تجد قوم يؤمنون بالله واليوم الآخر يوادون من حاد الله ورسوله ولو كانوا. That's it. That verse only implies to what? Ahl bid'ah. But the filthy, foul, mushrikeen, kuffar, there's no wala and bara ever discussed about them. Everybody understand this? This is sad. This is a sad reality among many people who talk, when they talk about Tawheed and Aqidah, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, they leave out this part. You can't explain the conditions of La ilaha illallah unless you discuss this. Al-kufru bit-taghut. Reject the taghut in every form of rejecting it. Everybody understand this? Your hands, your mouth, and your heart. No one can force you and take away from you your Aqidah in your heart. The taghut is batin. Every aspect about the taghut is batin, and we must hate the taghut. And the people of the taghut, we are to disassociate ourselves therefrom. Everybody understand this? This is one of the reasons why those ulama hold the view that hijrah is mandatory. Those ulama who say that hijrah is mandatory, they say this is one of the reasons. Based off the hadith, Man jama al-mushrika fahuwa mithluhu. He who makes jima' with a mushrik is like the mushrik. In other words, how can you hate a people, disdain their aqidah, their creed, know that it's false, and at the same time on a daily basis do what?
Be with them, part of them.
The system, and interact with them. And speak, it just doesn't mix. It doesn't what? Everybody got this? We're not here to discuss the ruling of hijrah. We've done conferences on that. But you see the point, how strong the point is? Your true hatred of it is not 100% pure and unadulterated. Everybody understands? So you really, really, truly hated the thing, you'll be what? Far from that thing. And obviously, everybody doesn't have the ability to make hijrah, which is a counter argument for that as well. Everybody understand this? There's no doubt about that. If you truly, really hate, or not even that, the more you mix with the kuffar and the mushrikeen, and you work with them, they're your neighbors, you play sports with them at the job, the less your inkar is. And you start, it may not take all your aqeedah away, but it starts to what? Piece by piece. Oh, he's a good guy. They're just like us. They're people like us. So on, you start getting like this. And your aqeedah becomes less and less solid. So this is very important here. He says one or two things are going to happen. Either he'll fall into it, or he won't make what? The necessary inkar of the shirk. He then says, rahimahullah ta'ala, وَلِهَذَا قَالَ عُمَرُ الْخَطَّابِ رَضِيَ اللَّهُ عَنْهُ إِنَّمَا تُنْقَضُ عُرَى الْإِسْلَامِ عُرْوَةً عُرْوَةً إِذَا نَشَأَ فِي الْإِسْلَامِ مَنْ لَمْ يَعْرِفْ الْجَاهِلِيَّةِ For this reason, Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu ta'ala anhu said, the thing which will destroy Islam piece by piece, take away the fabric of Islam, is when someone grows up as a Muslim having no knowledge of Jahiliyyah. Having no knowledge of Jahiliyyah. Only knows his Tawheed and Khair, that's it. He has no knowledge of Shirk and the reality of Shirk and of the Mushrikeen. قال شيخ الإسلام وهو كما قال عمر فإن كمال الإسلام هو الأمر بالمعروف والنهي عن المنكر. طيب. بإذن الله سبحانه وتعالى, this is just the first part here. Because when we get into it, we're going to keep moving. It's going to be really, 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 really long. What's important is that what we talked about before of Ibn Abdul Wahhab and the people who spoke against him and talked about him. And that's nothing new, that's nothing strange. Everybody understand this? With some Muslims, they feel that just because there was controversy surrounding Muhammad Abdul Wahhab, he automatically was upon falsehood. The proof that Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab was a British agent is that there's rumors about him. The proof that his aqidah was a new aqidah is that there's controversy surrounding him. The proof that he did bring a fifth madhab khamis, is that people have said this. If you take that principle, then you shouldn't be a Muslim, because there's controversy about who? What's the first thing the mushrikeen said? It's new. It's unknown to our ancestors. He's this, he's that, and they called him and they accused him of things. If that's your attack. Everybody understand this? Or as the non-Muslims, what do they say? And it's not necessarily a bad statement. They say what? They even doubted who? Jesus. So what about me in 2017? They don't want to listen to me. They doubted what? Everybody understand this? So just because someone hated Muhammad Abdul Wahab and said bad things about him, that in itself scientifically means what, Yusuf? Nothing, zilch. It can lead to something. It's an issue of discussion, looking for the proof, reading the actual facts for him or against him. But share, rumor, controversy, or lie means what? Nothing. As we said before, every great man in history was what? Lied upon. Every great man in history was what? He was lied upon. Intentionally or unintentionally. He's so great. One day, Ali ibn Abi Talib, he took his sword and he killed 300 kuffar just with his sword. 300 kuffar, all at once. One swipe and he killed all of them. Wallahi, I heard stories like this in Yemen. He took all of them and he threw them in the well with his right hand and his sword in his left hand side. These people, do they necessarily hate Ali? They love him, probably more than Muhammad. Waliyadhu billah. Everybody understand this? And many of them don't even know that this is a pure lie, fabrication. Everybody understand this? Why? Because to them, Ali is so great. So every great man in history was lied on, intentionally or unintentionally. Everybody understand this? Next step is every great man, also great woman that had an impact. Because just because somebody's great doesn't mean they have an impact. Everybody understand this? But somebody actually had a what? A great, huge impact. Just like sports. We can make a comparison in basketball. Every great player didn't have an impact on the game. Every great player didn't win a ring. He could be a Hall of Famer, but he never won a what? Never won a ring. Everybody understand this? He played with the greats, he competed with the greats, but his impact wasn't like, everybody understands? You have Charles Barkley, legend, great or not, in basketball, without a doubt. Compared to Michael Jordan, Charles Barkley's influence and impact on the game, and that of Michael Jordan. What's the comparison, Yusuf? How many rings does Charles Barkley get? Everybody understand this? MVPs, this, that, year after year after year after year. Records set. It's difference. And no one who knows anything about basketball is going to say that Charles Barkley wasn't great. So therefore, when a man reaches greatness and he has an impact, there must come hatred, envy, and jealousy. It has to be. It's a must. Anytime somebody brings change, then there's what? There's going to be severe hatred, there's going to be lies, and there's going to be slander in abundance. As far as he was great with himself, he never changed anything. He never physically changed policy, how the game was played. Then the lies and the slander is going to be very, very, very limited. Everybody understand this? They're going to be what? Extremely limited. In any sport, you can say the same thing. There's some boxers that changed the way boxing was done. Muhammad Ali was totally unprecedented heavyweight. To move, to dip, to bob, to weave with that speed, hand speed, foot speed, gift of gab, talking, his handsome appearance. It was unknown to a heavyweight boxer. So Muhammad Ali, he did what? He changed boxing forever. It was never the same afterwards. And you look at another great boxer during his time, Sonny Liston. You read about boxing, you study about Sonny Liston was a great boxer, but he didn't have the same impact as what? So the lies about Sonny Liston, the slander, the rumors are not going to be like the lies about? Everybody understand this? And you go on and on and on and on. Sports and any aspect of life. Someone that actually changed. So Muhammad Abdul Wahab rahimahullah was a great man, whether you liked him or not. He had knowledge. He was about something. He caught something, whether it was false or not. But he had a type of what? Greatness. That's number one. Number two is that Muhammad Abdul Wahab literally or actually did what? He changed things. He had an impact on the Arabian Peninsula. He had an impact on the sub-Indian continent, on the parts of, he had an impact. He had an influence. He changed the people, what people thought. Everybody understand this? So it's a must that the people do what now? Slander, jealousy, and envy. And this is a universal principle or rule in any aspect of life. When you change things, people are going to talk about you. You can say whatever you want to do. You can talk, you can be great, you can have knowledge. But if you're not influencing nobody, changing people, actually changing it, we don't care about you. You're not a threat. Everybody understand this? You're not a what? You're not a threat. Everybody clear on this? Last but not least is, let's say Ibn Abdul Wahhab was evil. He was the most evil thing since Iblis. Okay, no problem. Is it scientific? Is it knowledge-like for you to reject the clear facts and proofs and evidences that he put in his book about shirk and tawheed? And that's the thing which all of the different enemies of Ibn Abdul Wahhab failed to realize. Whether it was the Ottomans, I'm not saying nothing about people from Turkey. I said the Ottomans are not Turkish. Okay, the early Ottomans during his time, whatever, the Basha of Egypt, whatever, whoever they were, the chieftains in Arabia, it's not one race, the chieftains of Arabia, the other clan members, the clan leaders that were against him, that hated him, that tried to kill him, that spoke about him. Okay, Ibn Abdul Wahhab, he was a British agent, no problem. He was Iblis. But what about the concept of shirk? We don't like Ibn Abdul Wahhab. He and his Arab allies destroyed the Khalifa. They did this to the Muslims. Okay, no problem, la bas. But you still, in your country, have shirk. And people worshiping the graves, making tawaf around the graves, slaughtering for the graves, swearing by other than Allah, doing sihr. And that's mentioned in Kitab al-Tawheed. So I hate Ibn Abdul Wahhab. But what he brought was what? I can't reject it. The Quran is clear. وَمَنْ أَضَلُّ, who is more misguided? Except for those who call upon other than Allah. And you're calling upon Sayyid Badawi, the Prophet Muhammad. He cannot answer your call. Everybody understand this? On the day of judgment, what can be ibadah to him? Kafirin. Verse after verse after verse. So Ibn Abdul Wahhab, he was evil, no problem. But what he put in his book of the Quran and of the Sunnah, can you reject it now? And that's the thing that most people, they don't get. And they talk about Wahhabi Aqidah. He made this up, he made that up. Okay, maybe he did, but the proof is in the what? Not the yogurt, it's in the pudding. The proof is in the pudding. So Kitab al-Tawheed, that wasn't the beginning of the Aqidah of Islam. Kitab al-Tawheed was not the ending of the Aqidah of Islam. But if Kitab al-Tawheed is full of Qala Allah, Qala Rasulullah, ayah after ayah after ayah after ayah, that clearly proves that what you're doing in Turkey or Egypt or North Africa or India or Bangladesh or wherever is shirk and akbar, kufr akbar. You can't talk about Muhammad Abdul Wahhab's personality and his involvement with the chieftains, takfir, kuffar, the British. You can't, that makes no sense. Everybody understand this? And that's the thing that most people don't realize. They get caught up in that. Let alone the fact that what if what you're saying about Ibn Abdul Wahhab was false? What if it was inaccurate? What if it was a lie? Everybody understand the systematic approach to this? The what? Systematic approach. Everybody got this or not? The haqq is the haqq, no matter who brings it. No matter who says it, it's the truth. Everybody understand this? No matter who brings it. An enemy can tell you something and you have to do what? Accept it. If you're a self-respecting man who's scientific, ilmi, you know what? That makes sense. I don't like you, Yusuf. I think you're ugly. I don't like the way you look. But what you said to me made what? It's just that simple. And now I want to dwell on your appearance instead of your actual what? Everybody got this? Let alone if your appearance is actually fine. And what people are saying about you is not what? At all. Or it's mixed up and construed information. This is the golden, or these are the golden steps with regards to Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. The golden steps. As far as if you start off with the last point, you're going to lose the argument. Oh, I have proof, I have this, I have that. You're going to get stuck. He was all of those things. But what about what he wrote about, Yaqi? Were the Muslims not suffering at this time period? Was shirk and kufr not rampant and widespread among the Muslims at this time? Everybody understand this or not? And what good, last but not least, right, we'll stop there. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely knows best.